Our scripture reading this evening comes from Matthew, chapter 6, verses 16 through 21. And whenever you fast, do not look dismal, like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces so as to show others that they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that your fasting may be seen not by others, but by your Father who is in secret. And your Father, who sees in secret, will reward you. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust consume, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also.
I have a confession for Ash Wednesday night. Maybe it's appropriate, maybe it's not. I grew up as a Baptist. Thank you. Everybody in the United Church of Christ comes from somewhere. And I came from Baptist land, and actually I came from the part of Baptists that wear shoes and actually know how to read, and sometimes we read music and know poetry and all kinds of things. That kind of Baptist. I came out of that end of the Baptist yard, some would say. Because of that, I didn't know much about the liturgical year. I didn't know much about the way in which the liturgy of our faith is built upon this movement beginning in Advent and moving all the way across the life of Jesus, all the way across until the church is energized at Pentecost. And all of these stories about the church, I didn't know about Lent. I didn't know about Pentecost, really. I didn't even know about Trinity Sunday. We believed in the Trinity. We just didn't talk about it a lot until I became a minister. When I headed off to seminary, I began to learn about these kinds of things and the value that they have in the church. And I began to understand that there are all kinds of churches, not just my own that I grew up in. And then my curiosity about these things began to be ignited as an adult and as a minister in churches that began to think and move and have their being in a liturgical style of worship. Maybe that's why I didn't grow tired of them. A lot of times kids will grow up in a liturgical church, and the last thing they want to do is continue that as adults. And they split and they head off in a new direction. That was not my story at all. I didn't grow tired of them. In fact, I felt as though I was being nurtured into a deeper sense of faith. And like all religious symbols, and we're loaded with them tonight, they're symbolic acts, and they always push us toward deeper things. That is a part of the way our worship is put together. Ash Wednesday is a time of honest reckoning about our lives, about missing the mark in life, and about our mortality, something that we don't talk much about almost anywhere in our culture. Today is the first day of Lent, and it's the beginning of a 40-day journey that we take, which leads us all the way toward Holy Week. Lent is the beginning of that. It is the thing that launches this journey that we take, and it is a journey of awareness. Ash Wednesday is often marked as a season when we give up something. Have you talked about giving up anything in your family? Anybody do that? Some give up coffee, God forbid. Some give up a daily meal. They just won't consider that. That's way too much. Or television, or the news. Lots of my friends are not watching the news during this period, or Facebook, or almost any of the social media. They give those up for Lent, and I think they're giving it up for really good reasons, and it is just part of the thing. Well, I don't usually take a pledge because I don't like breaking my pledges. But some of us do. Have you found something that you really like? I think the value of this is the value of learning to say no in order to say yes to something else. The value of saying no to myself, to my needs, to the centrality of my life, in order to open myself up to something else. Recently, I ran across a fresh list of things to give up for Lent. I liked them immediately as they helped us focus on different things. I choose to give up guilt, fear, and envy. How many of us could do that? That would be great. I choose to give up the need to please everyone. I choose to give up impatience and entitlement, bitterness and resentment. I choose to give up blame and gossip and negativity by refusing to compare myself to others. I choose to give up the fear of failing and feelings of unworthiness. I choose to give up a spirit of poverty and to recognize the gifts of plenty that surround me. I choose to give up doubt and self-pity and excuses. I choose at long last to give up pride and worry. What would you suggest? What would be on your list? This is the interactive part of a sermon. You don't usually see this on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Anybody want to say what they might be giving up for Lent? Coffee. You're braver than me. Someone else? Popcorn. I heard something over here, but I didn't. Watermelon. Well, this is a great season to give up watermelon and vine-ripe tomatoes and ice cream. Wow, this is a brave group. We give up these things in order, we say no to ourselves in order that we might be able to say yes to something else, something that leads us down a new path, a new sense of awareness. The idea of our worship tonight is not built on the fact that you're here and we've taken the role and you get credit for being here, that kind of thing, or singing even a few hymns together, or hearing a meditation from a minister, or even about receiving the mark of the ashes. All of these are symbolic things because there's really more going on in this worship than just these things. We'll do all of these things. We will do them. We are doing them. But worship is really the way in which we begin to take our thoughts and our meditation about life and move it to a new level about our mortality, about our brokenness, about the way in which our lives need mending. We need for God to attend to us, and we get that by humility of letting the God of the universe come and tend to our needs as a sign of our willingness to be mended. We need God to meet us in our move toward God by making an intentional move of self-denial so that we might come closer to God. That's what worship is all about. That's what it's about, is to move ourselves into a place where the Holy God can be with us and can speak to us and with amazing mercy offer us life. All of us have the power to do this, even if it's just for a season. And who knows, by letting go of such things as popcorn and watermelon and ice cream and a whole assortment of things, who knows, maybe we can live more humbly, knowing that God walks with us on this journey through Holy Week.